Sorry about that.
Do you want me to repeat it?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
All right. And Whitney?
Yeah, I'm Whitney Klutz. I am a fourth year game design development student. I am also a lead ambassador along with Nuha. I realize that our introductions are pretty similar, so I guess we're good to continue.
Okay. We'll jump right into advice. The first question I have is, what advice do you have for first year students? And Whitney, if you want to go first.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to. I would really say my biggest advice for first year students is really just like, don't be afraid to just be very open. Like openness is such a very helpful trait for first year. I'd also say like conscientiousness will also be another very helpful trait. Like really just be aware of, your classmates and things going on, like be agreeable, like make friends, try new things, but like really that openness is what I would recommend most because they're going to throw you into general electives. Don't, oh, here's a good advice. Don't be afraid to switch them. Like Nuha can speak on this, but originally, like, she was in a different class and she switched into intermediate Japan or beginner Japanese one because like she knew that was a path she wanted to pursue. I got pretty lucky. I liked my general electives. I was like in an anthropology class and I was like, that's cool. But if you get yours and you were like, I don't really like these, absolutely don't be afraid to switch into something that just fascinates you a bit more. And yeah, also like your classes that you're going to be in, the IGM track, like yeah, just be open to like learning more experience there. You might find that some of them are very easy for you. You might find that some of them are ridiculously hard for you. Don't be intimidated by that. Also, if you're in like the easy pool, don't be like disappointed by that. As you continue down the path, there'll be so much like room for improvement and growth. And yeah, I would also say like the last thing I'll finish with is that if you're entering RIT IGME with a certain like you're open, you're excited to try new things, but you also know that there is something you want to do. Like talk to people, talk to advisors, talk to ambassadors, because there are clubs, there are different students, like there's teachers, there's someone that can help you pursue that interest and push at it. So yeah, that'd be my advice.
Great answer. And Nuha, what advice do you have for first year students?
Honestly, a lot of the similar notes. My biggest thing is like take that leap of faith. Especially for those of you who are like gonna come in and you're like, new place, people around me who I don't know. Like, be incredibly sociable. Like, take that leap of faith to, talk to the people that you're sitting next to. I mean, Whit and I can like attest to that. Like, the people that you make friends with in like that first week of being on campus, like, those will be your friends for 2, 3 years, possibly. So definitely like take that leap of faith in terms of like social activities. That goes for clubs as well. You can always, drop a club if it's not for you, but, picking it up might be a little harder. So definitely, go and just try anything that you're a little bit interested in because you can really build a passion through that and also make great connections with upperclassmen. And in terms of connections, make sure to like talk to the resources that you have available and find out about those resources, whether that's like your orientation leader during your first week or the academic advising or a professor. Like take some time to really like care and put some effort into those social connections, especially during like the first week.
Yeah, if I can hear that a little bit too, I would also say like I'd love to stress that point Nuha made about like joining clubs and dropping them. Like definitely, I think you'll meet some people that will carry on for a long time. Like that tends to happen. But also, you'll meet people that you won't really be friends with later, which might shock you. But like that's not a big deal. So like a group of people invites you to like eat with them at lunch, like at Salsaritas or whatever. Like just go, just sit with them, just like hang out. Like they may not be besties for life, but they might be. You might find some people that you really vibe with. Like yeah, like just take that leap. Absolutely, that's great advice.
Okay.
Like the nicest thing about college is that a lot of times when you take a leap of faith, if you hate it, it's fine.
Yeah, there's like thousands of people here. Don't worry about it.
Great. And then Whitney, I'll ask you first again. If you could go back to your first term at RIT, can you tell us one thing you did well that you'd be willing to share with others?
Yeah. Shoot. Sorry, that's a very interesting question. So I think I would perhaps maybe make a little bit of a continuation with like what I just said earlier. I think I was pretty lucky because I was just so excited to like try new things and do new things that I definitely picked up a lot of things. And now going towards my fourth year, I would say like maybe 25, 50% of those things stuck. Like that being like, friendships, people that I hung out with, clubs that I joined, teachers that I talked to. And then like now like 50 or 25 of the percent of those are like are still within like my sphere. But that's still really good. Like, I mean, like 25% of that, if I took 10 shots, that is what, shoot, I should not have thrown math at myself. But anyways, right. So like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would definitely say that's something that like I did that I'm pretty happy about because it's paid off later.
Okay, and Nuha, same
Yeah.
question.
I mean, I think like also echoing what I said before, saying things like, hey, do you want to go to metalworking club? This seems like a little interesting. Did I do metalworking club for more than 2-3 weeks? No. But am I still friends with some people in that club? Yes. But also I think something that I did well was talk to professors that I really liked, and like continue to go to their office hours, which we might talk about a little bit more, but just like go and talk to those professors, because the professors in GDD and IGME especially are very passionate about what they're doing, and they have a lot of really cool interests, whether that's gaming or design or programming. So like there is like a professor who can talk to you on like different subjects and really try to build that relationship with you. So like definitely I think that's something that I did well, was find like that one professor that I like really vibed with, and like kind of like foster that relationship a little bit more.
Great. And then kind of sticking to the same theme, going back to your first term at RIT, can you explain what you would do differently?
I can take this first. I think that something I would do differently is to reevaluate some of the things that were like given to me, or the classes that were given to me. Like how Whit said that, you were given like these 2 general electives to start with, and kind of like reaching out and not being like stuck in the mindset of like, this is what I have to do because this is what's like written out to me. But like definitely go and talk to someone about like, my interest is this specifically. What classes can I take to like foster me into a path that is building those skills? Whether that's, doing like a digital design minor, like having those conversations earlier on can really give you a lot of foresight for some things that might be too late in the future to really like work towards.
Great. And Whitney?
Yeah, so something that I would do differently. Yeah, let me think on that one too. But I think I would say the biggest thing that I would have done differently is probably just also like, just not be so stressed all the time. Like that seems like a really silly thing to say, but I think first year it's just so easy to get like caught up on things and be like, oh, this is the way I have to do things. Like this is like how I'm gonna have to pursue things. And that was a little bit silly. Like if I could have gone back, I think I would have just enjoyed the ride a little bit more. Because I probably would have like paid off as well. So yeah, I think that's what I would have said.
I ask this question a lot to our ambassadors when I'm doing interviews with them, and the 2 answers that I get a lot is students wish they would have asked for help and talked to faculty members sooner as well. So there's some big answers that I usually give. Okay, and next we'll go 10 tips for my GM students.
Yeah, I'll just read some of these. Clubs and events on campus are some of the best way for you to meet new people. Never think you are alone. Your orientation group will always be there with you. Remember, you will be in the same boat as everyone, so don't forget to say hello and make some friends. Make sure you balance work with fun. If you work too long, you'll feel burned out. If you work too little, your assignments will be rushed and possibly unfinished. Be kind to yourself. By all means, work hard and push yourself to try new things, but know that things not going according to plan doesn't mean failure. Be sure to go to class. You've got to work hard to make your dreams come true, and going to class is part of that workload. And then what if you want to leave the rest?
Yeah. Also like when struggling in class, reach out to your professors and ask for help as soon as possible. Office hours are blocks of time where your professor is available to you, so use that time. Other students are always sharing what they know. Sometimes all you have to do is listening, which is a huge one. Like, yeah, definitely like there's so much knowledge, so much perspective around you. That's the coolest part about this major. You're going to go face all sorts of creative opportunities. It pays to be bold and get involved. Don't be afraid to share. The natural climate of the IGM is that we like hearing the wild ideas. Again, I will echo that to the previous point. And it does get cold in Rochester. So yeah, take advantage of warmth when you first get to campus. Spend some time enjoying the Zen Garden, exploring campus, hiking the trails in the wood behind Gracie's before it snows. Absolutely. Like, also I would say another location is like Global Plaza, a beautiful place to work or read. But once it gets cold, it is like that until May. So
yeah, take advantage of like the
yeah,
2.5 months of like
once
spring.
November hits, that's done. Like that's it. Like yeah, and it gets real.
Are there fun winter activities to do on campus though? For those who like sledding
there's us like, a lot of times people like make snowball fights or like snowmen or stuff, which is really cute. Also, if you like skiing or snowboarding or winter sports or whatever, there are locations about 40 minutes, an hour away, Bristol Mountain and I think Sugar. No, that's not them. So, yes, thank you. Those are both like really nice. Also, there is a skiing club and you need fitness is elective to graduate. So, why not? If I think it costs a little bit of money, but I would definitely look into that if that interests you.
Yeah, and CAB does a bunch of CAB does a bunch of activities as well. College and Activities Board, so they do like movie showings and like indoor skating at like indoor ice skating and like a free hot chocolate and stuff like that. So there's definitely stuff happening.
Great. Okay, next we have a Jeopardy-like game that we're going to play, and I'm going to ask for audience participation. If you want to participate and pick one of these topics that interest you and put it in the chat, and then I will call them out loud, and Nuha and Whitney will buzz in to see who gets to answer it.
Also, after this, we will have questions and answers, so also be thinking of some questions while we're doing this. But yeah.
Anyone wants to put a topic in the chat and we'll go ahead and call it out loud. Okay, so WIC for 100.
Buzz.
All right, go ahead, Nuha.
Yeah, so WIC is Women in Computing, and they do a awesome like orientation program. So if you're interested in women computing, definitely like look into the WIC After Hours program that they do. Not entirely sure if they're doing it this year, but definitely look into either like an online Zoom thing that they're doing as well. And Women in Computing is like an organization in Golisano computing. And it is basically run by a bunch of other students and some female advisors. And but it has great resources. Like they go to the Grace Hopkins convention, which is like a great resource. They do a bunch of like interview prep, resume building, and it's just like a really good morale building sort of work. But I know that for the WIC After Hours thing that was on orientation, that I met like a bunch of people that I don't remember were there, but we ended up being friends like years later. So definitely go and find like your community in WIC. It's just like a really good resource.
Great, thanks, Nuha. And then the next one in the chat is Game Jams for 100.
Track and buzz into that. Yes, game jams. All right, I'll be honest with you. You're gonna get really sick of the word game jams probably by like your 3rd or 4th year because nobody will shut up about them. But that's because they are so important. They're just a great way to just explore coding opportunities, design opportunities, music opportunities, art opportunities, game creation opportunities. They're very inviting and supportive places. A lot of times people don't go their freshman year because they feel like they don't have the programming abilities necessary. What I would say to that is, if you're not a programmer, then you can just join a team that does have good programmers. And if you are a programmer, you can join a team that has good programmers, and they're probably going to be willing to teach you and sort of help you and guide you. Game jams are not necessarily going to be the place, in my opinion, where portfolio pieces breed. They very well can, and a lot do, which is really cool. But if nothing else, they will teach you important skills that you might not find in the classroom. Certain coding techniques that you wouldn't be exposed to by your teacher alone, And those are irreplaceable learning opportunities. And also, other than everything else, it's also a great opportunity to just meet people and just get to know some faces and get inspired by what other people are doing. Would highly recommend it.
Yeah. Also, just kind of jumping on top of that, like game jams kind of go for like a weekend of, and they give you like a theme, and you're supposed to like build a game off of it. But you are not limited to building a game. Like if you're like, I'm just gonna go to a game jam, be inspired by this theme, but I really want to learn how to like do lighting in Unity. Like you can just spend the game jam just doing something cool with lighting and just being experimental. You don't have to like be fixated on I have to finish a game in 3 days. So also don't be worried about like I have no idea how to code or like do anything. Like you can even spend the game jam to be like I'm going to learn Unity during these next 3 days. And I have like upperclassmen around me who are going to give me great advice on how to like get into this and jumpstart like my game development process. So like it
Yeah,
is a big idea, but like don't be afraid is my advice there.
yeah.
Okay, next we have co-op for 100.
I can buzz in with this one too. Sure, yeah. Yeah, so co-op, another thing you're going to hear a lot about, and it is probably admittedly like one of the scariest things in the major, just because it is real life, like it's the real world. The first thing that I'll say that you'll hear a lot is don't feel pressured to get that like dream co-op that you want more than anything. Odds are you're not going to be working at Blizzard for your first co-op. Your second co-op if you're like very, very lucky and you worked very, very hard. But that doesn't matter. And to be honest, like I have heard, I do know people who've worked with big companies, and the biggest advantage is really like there's opportunities to get like a permanent job there, because otherwise you are just being mentored, and that learning experience can come from all different companies. So mainly just be ready to like learn things and be open for that. Um, and my other biggest advice that I would give is just apply like to as many places as you can. Like there's really no reason to only apply to a few places. It isn't like in certain circles, like certain worlds, like artistic competitions, like double submitting, where it can be like TISTAT if you submit to two different places at once. Like places understand that you're searching for a co-op and that you're going to be throwing your hat in a lot of rings. So just like have a good resume, beef up your portfolio, go to our co-op advisors, get those polished, and all that you have to do after that is just like rewrite a cover letter. But you can get a format for that. My format is 2 paragraphs. First paragraph is pretty consistent. The only thing I change is the job titles, the skills relating to that title. And my second paragraph is just a little bit of a kiss to the company. So like, you just get that formula and then you just go for it. And just like have excitement, passion, openness, and a little bit of confidence and a little bit of luck. But if you roll the dice enough, you'll get lucky eventually. So yeah, that's what I would say on co-ops.
Can I ask a couple of follow-up questions? And maybe you said this. How many co-ops are mandatory? Can you talk about that?
There are 2 mandatory co-ops. You can take them any summer, fall, or spring semester. They you have to get like a little bit of communication with your manager and everything. Basically, they just have to fill out a form saying that like you were good, and you have to fill out some forms explaining what's going on. That's very quick. IGM is also thankfully not very picky about co-ops, at least in my experience, they haven't been. If you're working with a company for like full time for that period of time, that semester, whenever it is, and it has like something to do with game development, so programming or like communications or art, it's usually accounted for. Those are the requirements. You usually don't take them your freshman year. It's usually sophomore, junior year, though you can also do it senior year. And some people have even done it like the summer after their last class, and they just use their full-time job to get it. That is not required though, because you will then be applying for a full-time job without your degree. So the casual recommendation that seems to work well for everyone is 1 summer between sophomore and junior, and 1 summer between junior and senior, where Nuha and I are right now.
Yeah. And also, one more thing is that like getting a job can be scary because you don't have a resume or you don't have like your portfolio site or anything like that. That's why we have IGM 99, I believe, which is the co-op preparation class. And that's just going to be, two advisors just talking to you about job preparation strategies, helping to build your resume and submit that. That is an assignment that you do submit. So you will know that by the end of this class, you do have a resume. And that'll get reviewed. We'll talk about pros and cons of what you should do to build your portfolio website and things like that. So you're not going to go into this completely blind is what I'm saying. So I think that class is something to look out for in terms of getting prepared for job searching or feeling a little bit easier about it.
Do you want to tie in career services into that as well?
Sure, yeah. Career services, it's a building in Bosch and Lom, I believe, and there are some great career service coordinators who send out bi-weekly emails about co-op opportunities. So I definitely check those, just scroll through and be like, this one kind of interests me. I'll pin that and then get back to it later when I'm ready to apply to a bunch. They do resume reviews, and they review your portfolio and stuff like that. They also do mock interviews as well to help you feel better about going into that really scary interview. But that's, I think, it for career services, right?
Perfect, thank you. And then we have the student game showcase.
Yeah, I can take that as well. But maybe you can help me fill in the cracks, Lindsay. So it's like a contest competition sort of thing where at the end of, I believe, the spring semester or the fall, end of a semester, where you can submit a game that you've been working on to get certain rewards, whether that's best game overall, best design. They have different categories to fulfill, and then it all gets put together in this little showcase reel of some of the really awesome games that students have been working on. And it's a really good opportunity to just be to look at that, which is available on YouTube, I believe, if you wanted to take a look at it. And you can see some of the games that students have worked on. It's also a really good thing to look at to kind of see into the future of this is something that I will be capable of, or these are really cool ideas, and maybe I want to be on that team and continue to help them develop their game and things like that. So it's a really cool show.
And the student game showcase is put on by IGM is Student Success Task Force as well as Magic. And this year it was open to all RIT, and each year we would hope to grow it bigger and bigger to be a regional competition as well. Okay, and then next, clubs for 100.
You want to do that one again? I feel like you maybe can talk a little bit more.
Yeah, I can take clubs. You can get the next one.
Yeah, I'll get you on the 500 one.
Sure. So clubs, there are a lot of clubs. I kind of went crazy freshman year. It's I'm just going to join all of them. And I still get emails for some of them sometimes, but I don't attend anymore. But there is a bunch of nerdy clubs as well. I know if you're in GDD and IGM, you might be interested in some of the really weird and niche clubs, but they also have just just a wide array. I'm sure you can find it online about all the different clubs that they have. The biggest club on campus is actually the anime club, funny enough. But they also have a club fair in your orientation week. So that's they set up a bunch of booths in the gymnasium, and all of the clubs go in there and just kind of showcase and do signups for what the club is about. You can go and talk to them. And they're that is one of the most non-missable events, I would say, is go to the club fair to check out all those clubs. There is a community for you here, whether you are aware of it already or not. So definitely go and join a club. I think some notable call outs to some clubs are Humans versus Zombies, which is the giant Nerf battle club. We used to have a cardboard box fighting club where they just do LARP with cardboard.
And so the cardboard order, right?
Yeah, the cardboard order. Yeah, the Order of the Cardboard Knights. Yeah. And just Metalworking Club is another one that we went to. Just
also
crazy. Yeah.
there's also like clubs for every single genre of game. I mean, like you got like, like Smash Bros. Club, Fighting Club, I think like there's a Pokemon
Game
Go club or
Symphony
whatever.
Orchestra,
You've also got like Rhythm Game Club. Like that's where in my
Fantasy
opinion, it's like
Club.
you're getting specialized. Like
Yeah. Kaminari, which does all the Japanese acapella groups, also like every array of sport or athletic thing like ever is there. Like I think we even have like tightrope as like a thing, like tightrope walking. I see them doing it on campus.
yeah.
There's
We also it might be like a circus thing. We also have an array of martial arts. Like, yeah, there's a lot of sports opportunities, which is really cool. Again, wellness classes, I would look into them. There's a lot of cool opportunities. But a lot of the wellness classes are great introductions to clubs. Because usually if there's a wellness class, like there's a skiing wellness class, there's a skiing club. There's like a judo wellness class, there's a judo club.
yeah.
Right. Now, if we could go to the tutoring lab for 1,000.
I'll take that one. Yeah, so first off, there's a few tutoring labs. There's a lot of tutoring labs. And not all of them are IGM, is what I'm trying to say here. I believe it's, wow, it's been a second since I've been on dorms. Nathaniel? Is that it? Rochester? Like the
Yeah,
big
Nathaniel.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, NHR. That's what it is. That's what it's called. It has a tutoring center for general stuff. So, I'm having trouble in a math course, I'm having trouble in a science course, I'm having trouble in English. You go there and there's a student in that major that can help you. So that's a great all-around resource for just like, I don't know where to start. I don't know if people are going to be able to help me there. That's a great place to go. Other than that, and I'm going to work my way to IGM. Yeah, like, well, also other than that, like, again, because you might find yourself struggling in some of the required other classes. Like, you're going to have to take a physics. You're going to have to take, like, if you're in the GDD, you're going to have to take a physics. And like a lot of students struggle with that. It's completely reasonable. It's a college level physics. So in that case, there's great physics tutoring opportunities in God's Now, and you can talk to your teachers. As far as IGM goes, we also have specific tutors for the major. There are multiple labs that you can go to where there are tutors available. You can talk to your academic advisors. They can set you up with personal tutors. There is just a lot of great opportunities for tutoring. Game jams are great tutoring opportunities, honestly. They always have tutors there and upperclassmen who know the program and softwares that you're working in. And if, I worked on a platformer in Unity, like beginning of sophomore year at a game jam, and we had one of our senior ambassadors, Jamal, like came over and helped us out, like basically just stayed with us for almost the entire time and just like helped us with any Unity concept we didn't understand. So that was like a great off-record tutoring opportunity. Tutors are usually very approachable, very kind. I mean, they agreed to do it. Like they chose to do that. It's probably because they want to help you. So even if you're not immediately struggling, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Okay, and let's go with the, sorry, hang on just a second here. Let's go, I can't find it, but I know it's on here somewhere. How about the counseling center?
Yeah, the counseling center. You're specifically talking about like the health center, right? Or the or IGM advising.
The counseling center, the one that's right down the hall from us.
Yeah. So
Yes.
the counseling center is in the IGM office, and there are great academic advisors there. You can sign up for meetings with them, and they are willing to walk you through like your entire course schedule and talk to you about like the classes and what curriculum you want to take. They're also there to just talk to you about like life in general. If you want to, switch your major, if you're looking at immersions or like which electives you might be interested in. This entire class curriculum choosing process can be really confusing, especially the first time around. So definitely go talk to them. I would, in like earlier on, as soon as you can, to just kind of get a feel for like what class schedules might look like. But yeah, they're just like a great resource. There's also a counseling center that is at the end of the IGM office with Jonathan Elliot, who is like a mental health therapist. So he's there to talk about like, psychology and counsel you through anything that you might be going through, especially during like those first couple of weeks at a new place and new people around you. It can be very like anxiety inducing. So like definitely go and use the counseling resources that are available to you.
Okay, thank you. And then how about the health center for 1,000?
I'll also take that. No, I'll take it.
Never mind.
Health center is great. Definitely, like my little PSA is like sign up for it like as early as you can. Like never feel like your issues are not important enough to go and set up a meeting, because they are. So definitely like sign up for that meeting, and they will set you up with a counselor who will talk to you about whatever you're going through, and then they will set up repeat weekly tri-weekly meetings or bi-weekly meetings with you. There's also a bunch of different groups for different sort of mental health conditions. So I know that they have like a general anxiety group therapy. They also have, I believe they facilitate like the puppy therapy or it's like the dogs that come on campus. So there's just a bunch of great resources that are available there as well.
Also, don't be afraid to go there for like physical health as well. They can prescribe medicine. I'm pretty sure they can prescribe medicine. I had flu freshman year, and I went there and got an excuse for classes for the week. And then I also believe I got prescription medicine. And that was very important because that immediately helped me. So like that stuff happens. You're gonna get sick, and you don't necessarily have your parents to drive you to a doctor. So it has multiple purposes, and like, your body is like an engine. Like it can rust over, it can break down, like mentally or physically. So just get it checked on.
Great answer. Okay, and how about other resources for 1,000?
I mean, yeah, I can take that one. So there's a lot of resources that RIT offers. It's one of the reasons that you spend so much money. So yeah, like don't be afraid to use them. Another common form of resources are resources such as like the LGBTQ plus center. There's a resource for international students. There's a resource for students with disabilities. Obviously, there's a lot of resources for deaf students, since we are like the second largest deaf institution in the USA. There's, I think, like resources for like nutrition, if you want to like, I don't know, like work on your diet. There's resources for like, physical exercise. There's resources for like financial aid. That's a big one. Resources for studying abroad. There are centers all over RIT. They're usually concentrated toward an SAU or like where the wellness center is, or on the other side of campus or global villages. I believe financial aid and like study abroad are over there, and then like international student LGBTQ plus and that's over in SAU. So that's usually where you'll find those concentrations. You'll also just see them as you're walking around on campus. But don't be afraid to check them out, see what they're about. If you feel like you need the resource, again, you're paying for it, so use it. Yeah.
Great. And the last one in the 1,000 category is public safety.
Yeah. I'll take that. Public safety is something that RIT sets you up with very early. It's like one of the first talks that they have is like, hey, everyone's in the auditorium, download this app called Tiger Safety, and that is like a great resource. It has like all of the emergency calls that you would need, or all the emergency numbers that you would need to contact. Public safety officers are also around campus all the time. And there are also blue light boxes around campus, or these blue lamps, and those are there for emergencies as well. In case of anything happening, you can go run up, press a button, flares an alarm, and notifies public safety immediately. They also give you like just a bunch of handouts, like stickers and magnets that have all the emergency numbers that you need. And they also walk you through like an entire process during that orientation week about any sort of emergency that could happen, kind of what to do in that case. I think there's also one other thing to mention, which is the Good Samaritan rule, which is if you see something, but like, for example, if you are like drinking or something like that, and your friend drank too much and they're not doing well, they would rather have you contact someone to, you know, make sure that they're okay and you may not be like penalized as much. So that is something to mention, is like the Good Samaritan rule is like always people lives over anything else first. So public safety definitely walks you through all of that in your orientation week, and they're really good resources as well. Yeah.
Thanks, Nuha. Next, the Student Makers Guild for 500.
That one should also go to you, huh?
Yeah. So yeah, just because I feel like so I founded the Student Makers Guild, which is an organization created by students for current students in RIT. Because sometimes it's great to get advice from alumni, but really it's like the current students who know what you're going through, know what the current climate is like. I mean, COVID is a great example of that as well. But it is basically a community of students who are trying to inspire you to work on those portfolio pieces that literally everyone will talk to you about. Is, are you working on your personal project? Did you go to a game jam? Did you do this? Everyone's going to be talking about it. So this is like really a group to let you know about events that are going on campus, and like the ones that might relate to you a bit more, because your emails can get really flooded. But it's also a great resource to talk to the other IGM ambassadors or other upperclassmen who are really like sages in what they do. If you need an audio person, there's like an audio upperclassman who's like really good at it, and we can give great advice about like which classes to choose and which tracks you want to kind of be on, immersions and general electives, like stuff like that. It's just a really good resource to talk to upperclassmen, gain knowledge about events, and we plan on doing a bunch of like freshman orientated events during the first couple of weeks. So definitely join the Student Makers Guild when you're on campus.
Great. Next, Whitney, if you want to answer this one, and we kind of talked about it a little bit. So if you just kind of want to do a shortened version of advising for 500.
Sure. So the two main types of advising that I'm thinking of is club advising and academic advising. There's yes.
Academic advising?
Yeah, academic advising, absolutely. So you will be required to do academic advising. It's not a choice. And that's for good reasons. I don't say that like it's a bad thing. So set yours up as soon as possible. It'll just, because it gives you direction, it explains to you what the next 4 years will look like, or the next 5 years if you want to do the BSMS program, which you should talk about. So definitely like set that up and enter excited and ready to talk, because they will walk you through all the classes that you're going to take, and you can go ahead and start planning for things such as minors, immersions, which are required to graduate. I'll go ahead and answer the immersion for 100, since I know that can be confusing. It is 3 classes and something unrelated to like IGM. So you can't take computer science as your immersion, because that's just too close to what we already do. So very common immersions for our major are, I think, Japanese and creative writing are super common immersions. But you can also take immersion, I think, like in like web development. Like there are computer sciences you can take immersions for. Don't quote me on that, but there, I believe, actually immersions outside of your college. They might be. Yeah, the point is they encourage you to take something outside of the major. But honestly, there's like so many things that go into game development that's probably a good idea anyways. And you can talk about all of this with your academic advisor, because they're the experts. They know everything. And they will help you like really set you up for every single semester. I love going to them and talk about the classes I'm planning on taking, because they will also do a great job telling you, oh, if you take these classes, that means that in your junior year, you will have to take this class then. Like this will alter your path greatly, which is fine, but just know that. And they can also answer questions about, I'm struggling, I don't know what to do, I'm not sure if this major is right for me. I'm considering studying abroad, I'm considering doubling majors, I'm considering, changing majors. They can help you with all of that.
Great.
And it's very easy to set up. You can do it on Starfish. You do it on Starfish, or there's also open office hours, so you can even go if you don't have something scheduled.
Okay, and then if we can answer 2 more rather quickly, and then we'll go into the question and answer. Let's answer labs for 500, and then pick one favorite spot on campus too from each of you, if you could.
Okay.
So
I'll take labs really quickly. Okay. Yeah. So the main labs, there is Golisano, and then there is Magic. Golisano, our main labs are on the second floor. They're across from the classrooms and the students. It is this huge lab where tutors are. It is a great room to get work done. And also, work with tutors. And all of our labs are kind of set up so that computers are usually almost in like a circle shape. That makes it a lot easier to work with people to your left, to your right, and across from you. So it's also great for projects. I don't really know like the specs of lab computers. I'm trying to remember like what like hardware it uses, but I also can't remember. It's good though. It's fast, it's good, and you have 2 monitors. So really there's no complaints. And then also if you head over to Magic, you have even more opportunities because they have like these giant Wacom drawing tablets that are great for art side. We have Adobe Suite on all the computers, so Photoshop is available, After Effects is available. Also, if you go to the second floor, you also have access to things such as like Macs. If you're trying to work on any like iOS softwares, that's available to you. We have also labs for like sound correcting, color correcting, just a lot. And you should have access to all of them with your student ID. If you don't have access to all of them, go complain to somebody and get it because you're paying for it. But yeah, like also like I get it. Freshman year, there's a lot of stress of like, oh, should I be here? Should I, like, am I too young to be here? The upperclassmen have rights. Don't be annoying. Like, don't come in and like just be super loud. And nobody will care. Like if you're doing your work, like you'll be completely fine. And it is also an okay place to hang out too, honestly, if like nobody else is there. It can be really fun. You'll also notice there are labs that have different cultures. Some labs you're supposed to be quiet in, some labs you can be loud in. So, just sort of navigate the waters and find out what works best for you.
Great. And can you name quickly your favorite spot on campus?
I think mine is Simone Center, or like the fishbowl, if it's known as.
Yeah.
Because I really like how the AC is regulated in there. But also, it's just like all of the outlets there are like super accessible and like right next to the computer, and you have like the sound of the falling water in like the background. It's also like a cool space where like you could sit towards the like outer tables, and you might be able to see like your friends who are just happen to be passing through, or if you need your space, like there's couches. It's a great sleeping spot for a lot of people, but it is just a really pretty building to be in, and a good takeaway from your eyes from looking like at a bunch of bricks for a while. It's like one of the more updated buildings, so it's really nice to hang out at.
It is so fun to be there late at night too, because it's like this gigantically open place with running water, and it's just like empty, and that's like very fun.
It's also really close to Global Village, so like all the food places are there, so you could just like pack up your work, like go get food, and then like it's just like not even a minute away.
And there's a hallway connection to the Golisano.
Mm-hmm. So you don't have to go outside.
And Whitney, do you have a favorite place you want to share?
Yeah, my favorite place would be just outside of Simone Center, and that would be the Global Village Plaza, probably. It has it also has running water, and it has like shrubbery. It's just this open place outside. It kind of loses its appeal during winter time. That really sucks. But during summertime, when it is warm, it's just a great place to go and do work. To go like sit down, eat dinner with lunch with friends. That's like another thing. Like Noah said, all the food places are there. So if you're doing work there, you can just pop into Salsaritas and get like a fountain drink, and then just like just like enjoy that and keep getting refills. Like but it's also a great workspace, and it's like great to get some sunlight or hide in the shade and just be outside. It's also very beautiful to go through even in the wintertime. Noah and I are housemates, so we actually like lived in Global Village our sophomore year, which is really nice if you get the opportunity. It's a little expensive, but it is good to do one semester if possible. And walking in and out, like starting my day, like walking through Global Village and returning through the Global Plaza was always like really pretty and nice.
Great, thank you. And then thank you so much for answering those. And let's jump into the question and answer portion.
Yeah, you guys just fire away or unmute yourselves and ask.
We do have one that I'm going to answer, or have you answer really quick. Regarding the PCs we plan to use, what are the recommended specs for this course? And Beth did put the link in there, but do you have anything to add or share about computers?
Yeah, honestly, like to be honest, you're not making AAA games. And that actually is something that I think you should just know. There's no reason to, because they're way too ambitious. Like, you really should be focusing on like 15 or 30-minute like gameplay experiences. Like that's the maximum experience. So the point to that is especially not until like older years, you're probably not going to need crazy specs. I would say like if you can play, I don't know, like Fortnite on medium or high graphic quality and your computer doesn't burn to death, you're fine. Because Unity isn't too intensive. Unreal is where you start pushing the envelope because Unreal can sometimes, with its like really beautiful lightings, get a little intensive. But also you can configure it, so it's not that big of a deal. I have a screenshot of my specs. I don't know if I can post it into the chat. I'll see. I really don't want to save an image. It's an MSI like 15, so you can just Google it if you want. I don't have any like graphic cards or anything put into it, so it's not crazy. And it's a laptop, so honestly, like if you can do work on a laptop, like that's even nicer. If you have a PC, you're probably golden.
The link
Yeah,
that we shared, just real quick, the link that we shared is the one suggested for GCCIS students as well.
Yeah. I think just jumping onto that, you really don't need anything because we have the labs available, so you can always go and work at the labs. But of course, like working from whatever spot you want is like understandable. For me, I ended up getting a external hard drive because just like a bunch of like the code that I would want to look back at or a bunch of the Unity files do end up taking a lot of space. So I would just put it on my external hard drive, like some of the stuff that I haven't looked at since freshman year, but might need to pull out like from the cobwebs just in case for one thing. So that's just my little suggestion.
Thank you. Question from Chris. When I was looking at the immersion page, it seemed like some were closed off to certain majors. I am wondering if I was misinterpreting it, and am I able to take any class unrelated to GDD?
absolutely asterisk. I guess the certain majors that are going to be closed off, like I said, are going to be those ones that pertain to GDD. The point of an immersion from RIT is that they want you to get experience in something that your major might not give you experience to. It's kind of weird because honestly, our major gives experience to a lot of things, but we're primarily a computer science major. So other computer science classes are like a no-go. So, you know, if you tried to do like computer science, that would be an absolute no. I think it's weird because I want to say that like I've heard of people making immersions out of some computer science like Golisano majors, but most of them are a no-go. But like you asked, am I able to take any classes unrelated to GDD? That should be an absolutely, because that definitely should be like an absolutely, because that's kind of the point of immersion, is that you're taking classes unrelated to GDD. Like I said, Japanese and creative writing are super common, so that kind of gives you an idea. Like those aren't really things that we do in the GDD major, like inherently. And then you can bring those to GDD if you want to, which is also common. But yeah, like art, I know communication is a popular immersion. General sciences, I guess, if you want. I think it'd be a very interesting case to see someone say, I want to make a chemistry immersion, but I assume that that's possible. So that's kind of the angle on immersions. And it's 3 classes. A minor is 5 classes. A lot of people make minors out of their immersions. It kind of just makes sense too, honestly.
And what programming languages do you learn in the program?
You learn C# first, and then you would learn C++. Also like programming language, but you do end up learning HTML, CSS, and JavaScript as well. Yeah, those are the main ones.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most game making softwares really use those. There's very like Luau for Pico 8 is like one I can think of that's not in the Management taught, but other than that,
I think like
I can't even.
Python maybe.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
because some like jobs would like Python experience. Though if you learn C# and C++, like Python is like a walk in the park kind of.
Yeah. Also, Python is usually if you're applying for like I think like a more of an engineering job, like more of a software engineering job. It's not necessary. Yeah. Definitely a dark horse one.
Mm-hmm. I also think that, just really quickly going to mention, you don't need to come in with any programming experience.
Mm-hmm.
That is, there is like an accelerated programming course for people, or like people who are already used to programming, and they just kind of glance over some like the topics like loops and stuff like that a little bit quicker and get you guys doing more projects and stuff like that. But everyone does end up meeting at the same point regardless of where you start. So no worries about if you have a lot of experience or if you have like none. Everyone gets to the same point. So that's just one quick thing to mention.
That's important. Thank you. And then how much art/drawing experience do you need for the program?
Like, is it okay to say none? Like, I mean, you do have to take 2D animation and 3D animation, but it's not graded on like ability. It's graded on ability to learn and employ. So, you know, certain tactics will be taught to you, like animation tactics. You do have to do those. Like, you know, you have to work in After Effects. You have to 3D model certain shapes that prove certain learning abilities. But a lot of those are really just following instruction guides. So like, yeah, you really don't need any.
Yeah.
It's not to bash on or look down on them. It's definitely great to have it. And I would honestly recommend, like, that's one of the coolest things about this major. Like, have fun with that. Like, learn a little bit of drawing. You'll become a better artist by the end of it. Even if it's not like, I'm going to post this to Twitter, it still is going to be better than like what you can do right now, I promise.
Yeah, I mean, kind of echoing that, we are largely more development than design. You're going to do a lot more programming than design. But the design is so key because the main thing that you hear from employers is like, your code can be written great, but if it doesn't look good, then I'm not like super interested. So, you know, you do have to have like some sort of artistic eye when it comes to making your projects look polished. But that is something that the classes will, like the design classes specifically, will teach you about. And so you don't need anything before you come into the program.
I would say, yeah, I would say like that sense of aesthetics that everyone really should have in game development. It's more of organization and stylization than it is artistic, if that makes sense. Like, it, you know, it doesn't necessarily need to like, you know, be these like popping, vibrant, sharp colors, like all, you know, organized together and like very, you know, great art. But like, it should be themed. It should be like organized.
Yeah, it is also worth mentioning that, like, on the flip side of this, if you have a lot of art experience, there is like classes that you can take. Like, I would recommend like Virtual Worlds as a great class of like kind of combining game design, game programming with like trying to make some like a really design oriented artistic like experience. And there's just a bunch of drawing class and stuff like that as well. So there is stuff for artists outside of the program.
Yeah. Lindsay, can we jump to Chris's question really quickly? Because that seems like really related to, does RIT provide resources like Adobe products or Autodesk products that can be used on my own computer instead of a lab one? I would like to be wrong, but I think the answer is no there, isn't it?
It's yes and no. So there's something that you can do like with a remote connection to connect to your like RIT like lab computer. Which I've heard that you can get Adobe through, though I'm not like entirely sure of that process. But definitely the labs have it.
We get Microsoft Suite, I know that, but
and then the last question I have on here, I'm interested in the music composition of game design. Do you have any recommendations on courses to take?
Introduction to Blues. I'm just kidding. Although actually, yes, that is a really cool course. Yeah.
We have advanced electives in audio, I believe. And you know, feel free to correct me on that. But I also think if you're interested in audio, joining Game Symphony Orchestra Club is really good as well as just spending some of your own time to go and like explore the resources that we have to offer, like the sound recording booth or like the sound correction lab and stuff like that. There's resources that are available, as well as talk to a professor and they can get you connected with another professor who's like has more experience with that as well. So there's definitely opportunities available.
I know there's introduction to music composition in games, though don't know if the professor who taught that will be here next semester. That's also something that you can't take until older years, like junior year. So you don't have to worry about it too much. But I also like, I have a friend who is minoring in music design and she has composed a lot of pieces and that's like what she wants to do. And then I have another friend who's like taking off like voice acting and voice management. that kind of audio design, I think he's really interested in. So like, I know that people are taking off with it. Like, I know that there's examples of people who are like really using the major and using RIT to pursue it. My problem is that I just don't necessarily know what path that looks like because it is a little bit smaller, I guess. But I'll like go for it. Like, again, like those people that I know, some of the coolest people that I know, and they're really like enjoying and loving what they do.
Great. I think that was the last question we had, so we'll just kind of wrap it up. I put my email address in the chat, so please feel free to email me with any other questions you can think of. And stop into the IGM office once you're on campus, say hello, and we're here to help. Also, thank you, Nuha and Whitney, for being here and hosting and answering questions. And thank you, everyone, for coming. We look forward to seeing you in August.
Yeah, everyone have a great rest of your summer. Take it easy.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.